We aren't going to waste any time. You might want to pause here so that you can get your ingredients together, but we're jumping right into this recipe. We're starting off with 7 tablespoons of salted butter, going right into our pot. And notice I don't have it on the stove or anything, just kind of working with it on the countertop for now. Next, we're going to add in our light brown sugar, and we're going to need 1 cup of light brown sugar. So when you're getting your light brown sugar, make sure that you pack it well, and then it goes right into the pot with everything else. So there we go. A little bit more. Remember, that was a total of 1 cup. So now for the granulated sugar, it's 1 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. So lots of sugar in this recipe. I would love to try to find a way to fix it to have less sugar. Now we move on to the half and half. We need 1/2 cup of it. So notice right there, 1/2 cup, and it all goes right into the pan. On the on the stove top, medium, and it's slowly melting, and I'm just playing around with it right now. But it melts up really fast, pretty fast. Now, just go ahead and let you know while we watch the transition is that with this, like I said, it melted really fast, really well. However, we did not have a candy thermometer. So I can tell you just off of our initial results, we did not heat it to the temperature that it needed. So here you see that it's nice and melty. And I was getting tired of stirring it, but there it is, looking all good and scrumptious. And slowly you can start to see where it's starting to boil. So you see the little spots coming up there. So, like I said, we're supposed to heat it to 240 degrees. And I did not get it there. It was still kind of grainy from the granulated sugar. And so I ended up having to redo this whole melting process. But you'll see later. Just keep watching. So the hotter it's getting, now you see it's starting to bubble. I'm getting excited. Set my timer for 5 minutes. So what I was doing there was I was thinking that it had reached the temperature that it was needed, and then at that point, you continue to cook it for 5 minutes. During that time period, you add in your vanilla extract, and it's just 1 tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. So I was using a half measure there, so that's why it looks like I'm putting in 2, but it's actually only 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. We're going to stir that up. So now that I stirred in my vanilla extract, I'm going to remove it from the heat. And then we're going to add our pecans, whatever you choose to call them. Whatever it is, it's going to be 1.5 cups. And I have a half measuring cup right there, 1/2 cup. And so, I don't know, a little mental with it, shaking it, make sure it settles, just in case I need some more, because I really do love pecans. To the point where I had to get out a couple just for me. If you've never seen one before, here's what it looks like, and then it's gone. And I went and got one for my cameraman as well, and then one for good luck. From there, we fold them in. Now, what I thought was interesting, the directions said to fold in the pecans, or pecans. I'm sorry, I can't help but to give you both options there. And then it tells you to stir it up with your wooden spoon. And as you see, I did not have a wooden spoon, just had my spatula there. But so the whole folding thing got real old real quick. So that's why I was just kind of mashing it into there. But then, like I said, once I kept reading down the recipe and it said to stir them, then I'm kind of like, well, why was I wasting time folding it in? Maybe a chef can tell me, but, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm over it. Let's just stir it up. Now, this whole time, although I am on the stove, I am not on a hot eye. So it's actually thickening this whole time that I'm mixing this in. You can see that it's still pretty runny here, though. Still pretty runny. So yeah, hand was getting tired. So let's go ahead and get our paper together. I didn't have any of the parchment paper, so the wax paper is what we're going to have to use here. And it's funny because in setting it up, my sister was like, well, you know, parchment paper and wax paper are the same thing. And I'm like, is it really though? One is dry and one is slick. But I guess paper, they're both paper, so yeah, whatever. So my mixture is thickened up pretty good. So now I'm going to start scooping it out onto the parchment paper, or in my case, the wax paper. Now, the math teacher and me struggled with this part here because I wanted them to be so pretty and organized. And then I got over that real quick and created another tray and just poured the rest of it in there because I'm like, you know what, this isn't coming out pretty like what I had hoped. So therefore, I'm just gonna make one big block of the pralines and see what happens from there. So here we go. I'm getting my cameraman involved. It's gonna help me as I clean off the spoon, get as much of this yummy goodness out of this pan as I possibly can. Looks really great. But I'm just going to keep on scraping this till I can get as much out of it as possible. Because really, I was hoping it was going to fill up the entire tray, but oh well. Uh-oh. Yeah, and then I dropped the container into the pralines mix, and that like alerted everybody in the house. I did not realize how many people were watching me until I dropped it. Well, let's fast forward to what it's looking like as it's setting up, and just to kind of give you an idea about how big the pieces were that I made individually, and then there's the whole tray. And then here is what I ended up doing with them. I put them in little cups because I had a little issue. And then I even made some for some neighbors.